Okay, very good morning to one and all. Today we are going to discuss about CPU scheduling in operating system. So this the CPU scheduling is the basis of multi-programmed operating system. Okay, so generally in the single processor system, only one process can run at a time. Others must wait until the CPU is to be free and can be rescheduled. So actually in the single system means that the single processor system only one process can run at a time. But what about the remaining process? Those remaining process must and should be wait until the CPU is to be free and can be rescheduled those processes. But here there's the objective of the multi-programming is to have some process running at all time. So to maximize the CPU utilization. So in this the multi-programming environment, several processes are to be kept in memory at one time. So when one process has to be wait, the OS take the CPU away from that process and gives the CPU to the another process. So here this one is the multi-programming environment. So several processes are to be kept in the memory at one time. When one process has to be wait, the OS takes the CPU away from the process and gives the CPUs to the another process. So that's the concept about here. It is the multi-programming environment. So that's the CPU scheduling is to be based on this the multi-program environment. Okay. Now let us see here it is. Yes. What are the different types of schedulings are to be there? So here these are the two types of schedulings are to be there. One is for the primitive scheduling and then non-primitive scheduling. So what's the difference here? It is in between that's the preemptive scheduling and the non-preemptive scheduling. Let us see. Preemptive scheduling is used when a process switches from the running state to ready state or from the waiting state to ready state. Already in the previous concept we already discussed what are the different process states. So here remember that's the what is in primitive scheduling. That's the primitive scheduling is used when the process switches from means that can to be changed from the running state to the ready state or from the waiting state to the ready state. So that type of scheduling we have to be called as in preemptive scheduling. But what about the non-preemptive scheduling? That's the non-preemptive scheduling is used when a process terminates or a process switches from the running state to the waiting state. So actually these two definitions have to be depending on that's the states of the process. Okay. So what's the difference here? It is that preemptive scheduling and the non-preemptive scheduling. Here in this the preemptive scheduling, that's the process can to be moved from or change from that's the running state to the ready state or that's the waiting state to the ready state. So that type of scheduling we have to be called as in preemptive scheduling. What is in non-preemptive scheduling? Here that's the process terminates. When that's the process has been terminates, so that one we have to be called as a non-preemptive scheduling or process switches from the running state to the waiting state. Okay, remember that. So that one is also we have to be called preemptive scheduling. So what's the key difference in between this the preemptive scheduling versus non-preemptive scheduling? Let us see here it is. In preemptive scheduling, the CPU is allocated to the process for a limited time. Okay, whereas in a non-preemptive scheduling, the CPU is allocated to the process till it terminates or switches to the waiting state. That is the major key difference in between that's the preemptive scheduling and then non-preemptive scheduling. See this difference here in the preemptive scheduling that the CPU is allocated to the process for a limited time. So in the time when that's the process has been completed, there is the no problem, but that's the process is not completed, that one is automatically changed, that's the state. Okay, So that's the here it is that the CPU is allocated to the process from the limited time, whereas in non-preemptive scheduling the CPU is allocated to the process till it terminates. Means when that's the process is to be there in it under execution, when that's the process has been completed, then that's the process is to be there in that's the non-preemptive scheduling, or that's the process can to be changed from the waiting state. Okay, so this is the major key difference. Remember one thing here, it is that here that's the process we can to be forcefully stops the execution, that is about the preemptive scheduling. But here in the non-preemptive scheduling, when that's the process has been completed its execution, then only we can to be terminated. Okay, that's the major key difference between preemptive scheduling and then non-preemptive scheduling. Now let us see here, it is that the next one is when scheduling is to be preemptive or non-preemptive. Already we have discussed what is in preemptive and what is in non-preemptive. So here that's the scheduling is to be based on these the states, or these are parameters. What are those? See these points. To determine if scheduling is preemptive non-preemptive, consider these four parameters. By based on these four parameters, we can to be specifying that the process is to be there in this the preemptive or then non-preemptive. Now let us see here, it is that a process switches from the running to the waiting state. Okay, and the second parameter is that specific process switches from the running state to the ready state, and the next one is the specific process switches from the waiting state to the ready state, and then last one is process finished its execution and terminated. So by based on these four parameters, that the scheduling is to be in primitive scheduling or then non-preemptive scheduling. Before we understanding that, we must and should be know about that's the what are the different states of process. Without knowing about that, it's very difficult to understand that's the difference in between that's the preemptive scheduling and then non-preemptive scheduling. Here these are the four conditions are to be there. The first condition and fourth can apply those schedulings is called non-preemptive. Means what is the fourth one? See this one. Process finished its execution and terminated. When that's the process is completed its execution, then only that is to be terminated. That is to be coming under that's the non-preemptive. And what is the first one? A process switches from the running state to the waiting state. Okay, when that's the process is to be entering the running state to the waiting state, so then that one is to be non-preemptive. The remaining one is that the preemptive scheduling. Very very important, you must and should be remember this the difference. Yeah, before going to discuss about the CPU scheduling algorithms, must and should be you know about these the terminologies. What are those? The first one is the burst time or execution time. So which time we have to be called as in burst time or execution time? It is a time required by the process to complete execution. That one we have to be called as in burst time or execution time. Means that the process how much time is to be required to complete its execution. So that time we have to be called as in burst time or execution time. Which is an arrival time when a process enters into the ready state. Okay, so actually that's the process is to be there in that's the new state. So when that's the process is to be entered into that's the ready state, that the time we have to be called as an arrival time. The next one is finish time. Which time we have to be called as a finish time? When the process complete and exit from the system. Remember this point. So here finish time means that then the process complete and exit from the system, that one we have to be called as in finish time. The next one is multi-programming. So multi-programming means, what is that mean for the multi-programming? Already we have discussed a number of programs which can be present in memory at a same time. That is means simply we have to be say the multiple programs are to be there in the memory at the same time. So that is the multi-programming. Job. What is in job? It is a type of program without any kind of user interaction. So any user interaction, that one we have to be called as in job. User. So it is a kind of program having a user interaction. Okay. Process, what is a process? Already we know here it is that it is the reference that is used for both job and user, means that's the program under execution. So here it is used for that's the both the job and then user. The next one is CPU or IO burst cycle. So here it is that characterizes the process execution which alternates between CPU and IO activity. Okay, so here the CPU times are usually shorter than the time of the IO. So means that input output. Okay, now here there is the alternatives between the CPU and then IO activity. So here there is the CPU times are generally usually shorter than that's the time of the input output operation. So these are the some terminologies we must and should be remember before that's the CPU scheduling algorithms, and some of them are to be there. Here it is that the first one is CPU utilization. The CPU utilization is the main task in which the operating system needs to make sure that CPU remains as busy as possible. Okay, na? So utilization, so how much time, so we have maximum utilizing, that's the CPU. Okay, the next one is throughput. Already this is the definition, we already know about that. What is the throughput? The number of processes that finish their execution per unit time is known as throughput. Okay, the next one is waiting time. Waiting time is an amount that specific process needs to be wait in the ready queue. Remember this point, which waiting time is nothing but in which process needs to wait in that's the ready queue. So that's the time we have to be called as in waiting time. The next one is the response time. It is an amount of time in which the request was submitted until the first response is produced. So remember this point, this is the very important one, response time. It is an amount of time in which the request was submitted until the first response is produced. So that is about, that's the response time. The next one is the turnaround time. Turnaround time is the amount of time to execute a specific process. It is the calculation of the total time spent waiting to get into the memory, means that's the process is to be there in that's the waiting state and waiting in the queue and then executing on the CPU. So that's the sum of all these, that one we have to be called as in turned around time. So the period between the time of process submission to the completion time. Okay, the starting from the process submission to that's the completion time, it is known as a turnaround time. Okay, so these are the different terminologies you must and should to be remember before going to discuss about the CPU scheduling algorithms. Okay. Thank you. The next class will start discuss about that's the different types of CPU scheduling algorithms. Thank you.